It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Wow, I tuned into the big local morning talk show, and I thought it was Alex Jones on the air. So I called in, and they put me right on air, and they just basically totally agreed with me and told me I'd been right all these years. And that happens with so many radio shows that would criticize us in the past, because people now see that what we warned of is unfolding. Foreign interests have hijacked the federal government, and they are using our tax money against us to turn the United States, and the same thing's being done in every other industrialized country, into a classical, hardcore, in-your-face tyranny. And what's really waking people up is the announcement of 30,000 drones in the next decade to be phased in, and watching national news like Fox News with their, that's right, is that potting soil explosives? Homeland Security is going to be watching you and looking through your windows and checking out everything you do. Drones are in the sky. The Pentagon is watching you to keep you safe. It's like a science fiction movie you'd see in the 80s of the future police state, of a dystopia. And it's our money. There's potholes everywhere. There's hundreds of heads being chopped off and left on the border every week. There's total bedlam going on, all sorts of crime exploding. The system will do nothing about that. We have 7+ million people in the prison system, double communist China, who has 1,300,000,000 people. We're 310 million. And their answer is home inspectors under new Enviro regs where you go to jail if your weather stripping isn't right. The green police. You saw those green police ads with Audi 3 years ago, and they had admitted that, oh, this is actually what's planned. That's even the green police uniforms the feds and locals are wearing. It's a white shirt with little green epaulets and green pants, and it's here. And Infowars.com has the Mike Adams report from naturalnews.com. L.A. County health enforcers conduct door-to-door raw milk confiscation operations. And I went and looked it up. It's actually happening. They went and got the customer list of people buying from big mainline dairies. I mean, in Los Angeles, if you're at any movie star's house, and I've been to quite a few, it's raw milk right there in the refrigerator because they are into quality. Well, and the general public's getting into it. Well, not anymore. They are getting the customer list and coming without warrants and intimidating their way into the houses. Now, you have to understand, there's mass murder and death going on just a few miles south of the border there every day. Total corruption, crack whores everywhere, like zombies walking around. People's daughters traveling to L.A. thinking they're going to be movie stars, being fed into the prostitution, meat grinder. Troops committing suicide in mass, record numbers, collapse of society happening all over the place. And they've got code enforcers, that's what they're calling them, from the health department, demanding that you give us that jug of milk. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, I didn't think to do this. Will you please? Well, I'll do it after the break. I'll just get a jug of it. We've got like 3 gallons always that I keep here in the office, and I had a big old glass of it with whey that I got from InfoWarsTeam.com, by the way. Best whey's up there, in my humble opinion. And I had an evil whey shake yesterday instead of lunch, and it was awesome. And you know what? I had the Austin police chief in here. See, he hadn't gotten the new download of Tyranny yet. And I said, here, I got some raw milk. Here, have a drink. And he drank it. He goes, oh, that's good. Oh, in California, pal, you're a hardcore criminal, Art Aceveda. Drinking milk. SWAT teams are now hitting people growing different plants like, what's the one you use for burns? Aloe vera, that's evil. It's all evil. It's all evil, but the evil, it's good. Sybil Edmonds, who was a FBI translator, who on the day of 9/11, the day before 9/11, heard the CIA commanding Al-Qaeda. She is going to be joining us. She's broken her gag order and written a book. And we're going to be talking to Sybil Edmonds, who hadn't been on with us in years, coming up today in the third hour. And, of course, she also heard them running sex slaves and weapons. That's what these criminals do. And our naivete in not realizing our government was taken over a long time ago by totally ruthless foreign banks. Until we realize that, we don't have any hope of ever turning this around. Things are just going to get progressively worse until we have that collective reawakening that our forebears had. And if we don't, it is a eugenics nightmare. That is where the tunnel basically ends. Okay, let me just give you some of the headlines here. Big news today. Military detention law blocked by New York judge. That's the NDAA saying the military can secretly arrest you, secretly disappear you, and Obama went forward and said, kill you. That's U.S. citizens. And enforcement of that has been blocked thanks to the lawsuit by Chris Hedges, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, who we're going to get back on the show. We got him on when he first filed that a few months ago. And again, this is so immoral that even if the courts later end up saying this is okay, it shows that this is a confession of their abject evil. You see, as things get worse and worse, it's only going to illustrate to people that the bad guys have taken over. So there is that report. Also, we're going to get into whites account for under half of births in the U.S. Whites really are a minority overall. And when there's no more white people left, you won't have white folks to kick around anymore. That's a joke from Nixon. You won't have Tricky Dick to kick around anymore. And again, I see how race politics is used to control people. People are people. But it doesn't matter. People that have been filled with hatred for you, whether you're black or white or Hispanic or whatever it is, you still got to deal with that. And I am just so sick of hearing how white people cause all the problems in the world. No, evil white people, because they've been smart and barbaric, have been dominant for a long time globally. Endless wars with each other, but every other group of humans enslave, kill, and go after each other. But the big mega bankers, Ford Foundation and others, they sell this idea of white guilt and whites are bad, so they can organize other groups into political armies under their control while making whites guilty to say, hey, go for government-run health care, you're racist. That's what MSNBC said as a talking point. You're like, what does that have to do with being racist? Well, don't be racist. Oh, take vaccines or you're some type of extremist or racist. Don't criticize Obama or you're a racist. This is how they do it. And so you should learn to not be guilty when you've done nothing wrong. And that goes for everybody. This whole environmental movement has nothing to do with the environment. It's all about having guilt, thinking you're bad. That's an across-the-board system that we're all trash. Humans are trash. We believe we're trash. We act like trash. We roll over to the globalists who want us out of the way. They've stolen the planet through fraud. They want us dead. And whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, polka-dotted, whatever you are, the globalists want you dead. You expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, Goldfinger says. I expect you to die. New World Order, do you expect me to be your slave? No, that's only in phase 1. I expect you to die. And you're dying quite nicely already. See, I mean, the World Wildlife Fund came out yesterday and said, yes, we want global poverty, post-industrial world to save the planet. No, they mean get you ready for poverty so they can have all the wealth and use your poverty as a tool to control you. So you're too busy working 14 hours a day in a slave factory fixing robots that are building widgets, in military. See, the new economy is not going to be just widgets from China. It's going to be drones, surveillance, weapons for the globalist. You're not going to have police helicopters in the sky soon because those aren't going to be rated as safe. In fact, I saw this over the weekend. You know, they come out with a Friday edition of USA Today. And then it's the weekend edition. And I was at the beach with the family, saved the newspaper. We got home at 9 o'clock Sunday night. And I couldn't find it the next day after I'd lugged all the luggage in. And like a wagon train amount of stuff in the back of the SUV, the evil SUV. But it said right there, the car of the future. And it said they're better, they're easier, they're safer. And sure enough, yeah, there's coming a time when you're going to see these on the road. There's already robot cars on the road, and they're going to be safer. And you're going to sit there and get to listen to your iPad, as if you're going to have an iPad then, and enjoy yourself and make phone calls while the computer drives you. So see, it's all coming. There it is. Cars of the future will be computers on wheels, and they look like little tin cans. And the article went on to say, in the future, most of you won't be allowed to have a car. You might be able to share a car with your neighborhood. This is the Plandopolis. I mean, and they say, look, that's what the control grid is. It's shutting off the resources. And the only jobs you're going to be able to get are government jobs, mega corporate jobs, and enforcer jobs. And that's the new welfare, is a psychologically tested, dumb control freak who loves to exercise power all day and henpeck people and taser them to death and kill them. And then they're phasing out the old cops and phasing in the new ones. And the TSA is the model. Man, this morning I got stuck watching TSA videos where people are doing subpoenas and getting the TSA videos where they're harassing women with babies, old ladies in wheelchairs that can't walk, screaming at them, pouring their breast milk out that they need for their baby on the plane. And you watch the body language of these weirdos. They all look like mall Martians. I don't care what color they are. They all have the same spirit and look, and these weird women and the weird men, and they've got such wimpy body language. You know, I mean, a lot of people have probably seen a ninny wimp when they try to stick their chest out. They actually stick their belly out. I mean, you know the body language of a weirdo, a pervert. And, I mean, they got perv language. I mean, just social outcast scum. That's going to be our rulers. It always is. Can't get a girl? Doesn't matter. They're going to get your wife. And Geraldo Rivera's talking about it. And Ron Paul's talking about it. And Jesse Ventura. I saw more articles this morning where people are saying the weird part is, and you can even watch it on the videos. There's a new one out where at Infowars.com. I think the headline is, TSA enjoy groping attractive woman. Oh, it was the Young Turks. Yeah, they're even pointing it out. And, I mean, I've seen it. A really gorgeous woman comes through. Instead of just admiring them, they all get all wild and start swarming around them and then harass them. And you know what? We groped you for 30 minutes. You complain you're not getting on your flight. And then they'll kind of hop up and down and do like little victory dances. I mean, it is sick. It is sick watching demonic control freak nerds swarm people. And again, I cannot subject my wife and children to it, so my children have never flown. I've got a 9-year-old son. He's never flown. Because I wouldn't subject him to the slave training earlier, but now, I mean, how do you let them, now they're taking the kids away to strip rooms. Because the public stripping got on the news where they're pulling their pants and shirts off and, you know, 3-year-olds and diapers off, newborns and everything. So now the parents cry and dads bow up. And, man, I've seen the videos where the cops get called and the cop rushes up and runs their chest into them. The kids crying. They're like, look, we're going to do this. I mean, this is sick. This is sick. This is sick. I remember watching those film reels that the Nazis shot themselves where they're rounding people up in the ghettos. They've already herded into those at first, gotten them used to showing their papers for years, checkpoints, gropings, and they'll sit there with like a riding crop under an old lady's jaw. You ever seen that famous film footage? And it's like, and then they just drag her off and people all scared, and you see the soldiers getting off on the power because they're part of the winning team. That's all going to happen here, okay? And it's going to be much worse, much, much worse, and it's going to be against good people. Period. You're conservative, you're libertarian, you're Christian, you own a little bit of land, you own a business. It's over. The giant scum, the demonic scum that Hollywood and the culture has created is coming. coming. They're coming, and they're coming, and they want you to know. They're all over going on the news, ABC, CBS, Fox. It was all the same script. They're watching you. You bet. They'll be looking through your windows. Guess what? It's true. The census was getting a GPS so drones can mark and make sure they're over the right house. Oh, all that stuff that people said Steve Quayle and I were making up, that census workers told us, was all true. What do you think a zip code is? It's a artillery mark point. They have other points after that. Well, now oh yeah, it's artillery placement points. It's a military digit code. We've been under this for a while. Now they've got your house marked, and they say, your tax money, 30,000 drones. Washington Post. 30,000 drones, and they're announcing, oh, they will be weaponized. And they're announcing in Chicago, this was the headline in the Chicago, was it Tribune? I couldn't believe it. It was public safety announcements being announced on sound cannon. And they go around doing the sound cannon noise and then making announcements that it's for your safety. Oh, yeah, was it for the safety of Kelly Thomas where they tortured him for 10 minutes, holding down every arm and leg and then saying, don't struggle, as they laughed, tasering him and crushing his windpipe, jaw, ribs, internal organs, skull, big pool of blood. Oh, yeah. It's all for our safety, isn't it? And don't worry, all you pot-bellied enforcers who get off on this. Just give your kids GMO, give them the shots, drink the fluoride yourself, and enjoy. Because let me tell you, you're not getting out of this either. When your masters finally release the main bioweapon plague, when you're dying, remember, your masters killed you, scum. All right, I already digressed off into drones, but we're going to be covering it coming up in the next segment because people are finally concerned about it. I mean, I remember reading Pentagon public statements 15 years ago that most of the Air Force by 2012, more than half of it will be converted over to drones. They've now done that. They've got something like 15,000 Predators. Last time I checked, the Air Force does, and they're talking about doubling that. Even the transports are going to be remote control. This gives the technocrats power over everything and cuts human decisions out. All these science fiction movies where humans go out to space. No, it's going to be robots. And the elite believe they're going to merge with them, and they're building the technocracy in that direction, whether that's true or not. I should break down their master plan more often. It's so big. Side issue. I'm going to come back after the break. Spy drone almost causes mid-air collision with jet over Denver. FAA investigating extremely dangerous incident. And it's the drone that did it, but don't worry. They're going to come out and say, watch, in the future, just like they are with cars now, the answer is make the aircraft remote control with a ceremonial pilot to sit there and mind it in case there's a problem, taking humans out of the equation so that they can be synced with the drones. That's another system of problem, reaction, solution when you're going to have 30,000 in the skies. And then this story's up at Drudge Reporter, was last night and this morning. Judge Napolitano, first patriot to shoot down a government spy drone, will be a hero. Blast illegal use of plastic drones to spy on Americans in their backyards. And we got two different clips I'm going to play because he's absolutely on target. But in the first part of the Fox News clips, because they're both up there, I'm not going to play that. We don't have time. They're like, in the newscast piece, it's so wonderful watching you in your backyard in case you do something. Are those potted plants really bombs? Is that potting soil a bomb? We need to be watched to keep us safe from Tim McVeigh. All of you will be watched. And then they cut to the Shepard Smith and then Napolitano. I mean, it's amazing how they push this stuff. But then, have the judge on to say it's wrong. Continuing, the military's involved. It's totally illegal. We're going to be breaking that down. 12-year-old put in jail by mistake. That's out of WLFI. And I tell you about this all the time. I mean, thousands of cases a year in L.A. alone they're reporting on where just innocent people are arrested because of computer glitches. Doesn't matter. Still might fall down and hit your head, or I hope you enjoy getting TB in the jail or getting raped by, a 400-pound guy named Oscar because they want everybody in the prison. There's famous cases, the woman arrested for no seatbelt She's never been touched before by anybody but her husband. She starts screaming and crying, so they beat her half to death and put her in the restraint, and she's crying and sobbing, saying, I'm sorry, and the blood's all running out, and the guys are all getting off on it. They like to hurt people, a lot of these guys. That's who they're trying to recruit, and they're going to hurt you, don't you worry. Yeah. Oh, but, I thought none of this was going to happen. Oh, there's not going to be drones and blimps, Jones. But now they're announcing, and people are like, well, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I need the Pentagon watch me with a drone. Spy satellites we paid for watching farmers under the new Agenda 21. Not a law, but, the feds just say you can't build a barn. Or if your cows go down to the water's edge on a stream and any mud gets in it, that you're going to be fined and shut down. Or any hay dust, we're going to give you $2,000 fines and shut you down and arrest you. And you can't have your kids doing chores either. Just shut up. Shut up. Government's God. And I can't go anywhere now without checkpoints and police, or go on my own family ranch without game wardens, 6, 7 of them showing up, telling me they're in a federal task force. They're local game wardens, but very proud they're a federal task force and want to see if I'm scared. I mean, can you imagine all day as a man wanting to scare people? Oh, I'm so scared. You're pathetic. Make me sick. Continuing here, bunch of scum. I know all the sitcoms and TV shows are how you're all heroes. Yeah, well, a lot of you aren't bad people individually, but the system, it's like you're on board a ship captained by the devil. And I don't like that ship. That ship is controlled by something bad. You're like, hey, I'm just here, sweeping the decks, man. I'm just sweeping the deck. It doesn't matter, buddy. You're on the devil's train. You understand that? Just like German soldiers. The Germans said the same thing. They said, Romans 13, do what government says, Hitler's of God. Look it up. And they also said, well, I don't support the Nazis, but I support our troops. I support our troops. And boy, you did support them, didn't you? 20 million Germans, if you count in the military. 21 million, if you do the total number. 21 plus million died. Oh, that was, so you supported them, didn't you? Ooh, you support keeping them in these wars that 70+% in polls don't want to be part of, including the military. 5, 6, 7, 8 tours. Record suicide. Oh, you're sure supporting them. See, supporting the troops nowadays means doing what the foreign bankers that run the government say. All right, I'm going to give you more of the headlines coming up, and I'm going to commit a crime on air when we get back. A hardcore crime. No, that's not cocaine in the bottom of this glass. This is something even more evil. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Associated Press and Yahoo are reporting bank run fears spread to Spain. We told you that 2 days ago. It's also in Italy. Get the news here first before it's announced by the globalist. This is all part of the banksters just squeezing Europe. So coming up, spy drones, what they're up to, 12-year-old put in jail by mistake. Delegate warns of black youth mobs, which are confirmed to be targeting Whitey, but hey, what's wrong with that? Media said it was good, all part of trying to get people divided in this country. Again, Spain in a recession amid fears of Eurozone bank run. This copy here is French news agency. Continuing, good news, military detention law blocked by New York judge, the NDAA. Of course, they never follow what the judges say anyways. I've seen that for a while. Prominent activist backs Occupy Bilderberg campaign that we've launched, and a lot of folks are coming. The 31st of this month through the 3rd or so there in Chantilly, Virginia, confronting the real problem. And this big activist, I'll tell you about him later. It's up at Infowars.com. David Swanson, who helped break the Downing Street memo information, seen as a cause celeb on the left. He goes, why don't we go protest the big NATO summits, G20s? Why don't we go protest the real elite meeting in secret? Because the left always said that didn't exist. They want you to believe it's just Republicans and Democrats, Tory, Labor, left, right. Not that both sides are controlled at that level. I mean, look at how Obama is financed by the very same people financing Mitt Romney. The company Mitt Romney ran and basically controlled and partially owned, Bain Capital, is giving money to Obama, double the amount given to Mitt Romney. And Mitt Romney still owns part of it. I mean, it's a joke. They're stealing tens of trillions of dollars and then using your money to pay for 30,000 drones, TSA, highway checkpoints, all these weapon systems for us, the criminals. And they were getting all the police stirred up in a frenzy against us. It's just so ridiculous that this is happening. But first, I want to get into this report. It's at Infowars.com, originating with Mike Adams at naturalnews.com. LA County health enforcers conduct door-to-door raw milk confiscation operations. They, of course, have raided long-standing raw milk sellers, pastures, and they've gotten their customer list and are going door-to-door. This is confirmed, demanding the fresh, real milk back. Now, again, 60 years ago, all you could get was raw milk. They started boiling it so they could feed you the blood and pus and overworked cows that their udders produce. With real milk, it lasts longer, by the way, than the pasteurized, but if there's any impurities, you can't sell it. I mean, you'll immediately find out who's doing good milk, and statistically, it's very, very low problems. But it's kind of like they want to have feces and disease on the chicken and beef, so they spray it with live viruses now that, quote, eat the bacteria. You think I'm joking? Look up viral spray put on meat, ABC, MSNBC. In fact, put that on screen. Folks won't believe it. That was approved 6 years ago, causing massive gut problems because the virus is just incredible. It's a vaccine they spray, and in the big giant tanks where they make it, there's other viruses and microplasms in there. So enjoy your Crohn's, leaky gut. All of this is just exploding. Yeah, now it's going to be 1 in 10 is going to have a gut disorder. Used to be 1 in a couple thousand. Yeah, used to be 1 in 25,000 had autism. Now it's 1 in 58. Yeah. But that's all right. All that poison, GMO, spraying fluoride on the crops as pesticide, bioaccumulating through the cell walls, all of that's okay. Radiating the food, killing its nutritional value. There it is, FDA-approved spray-on virus to keep processed meats safe. Isn't that just special? Isn't that just sweetie pie? Anyways, but that's not a problem. LA County health enforcers conduct door-to-door raw milk confiscation operations, and they say, we're coming in and force their way in illegally. But hey, who needs that? I mean, look, imagine they come to your house. I mean, I got raw milk at my house. And Texas, again, hasn't gone completely New World Order yet, but it will. Don't worry. And then they're like, yeah, we hear you got it. We're coming in. Because we're the health department. We're going to keep you safe. Really? Oh, the health department set up in 1910 or so in England, 1915 in the United States, in New York, New Jersey, and it spread to 35 states. They were the ones that would come grab you, no judge, no jury, and then bring you before a fake family court they just set up and have a eugenicist. I've played the newsreels here. Say, well, your brother is mentally ill, so that means you're unfit. I order you sterilized. And they whack the gavel. That's an endgame. Blueprint for global enslavement. And they take you away and cut out your uterus. And people say, well, they don't do that. They just cut your fallopian tubes. No. They back then and still, because this is going on to the 80s, last time it leaked, they like to chop out the full deal. It's just part of the enjoyment process. Because you might get a little soft kill, complication on top of it. Continuing, of the mother, that's the best part with the UN program of the tetanus shots, because you don't just cause a second trimester abortion for the rest of the woman's life when you give them the tetanus shot added to the female hormone, causing an autoimmune response to it. You also then get a good soft kill ratio because it causes all sorts of inflammation, polyps, cysts, and tumors in the uterus, but especially in the ovaries. Very loving, very good people. But they're nice. The drones are good. And the TSA on the streets groping people, violating the 4th and 10th Amendment, that's good too. And again, I shouldn't be so extreme. LA County health enforcers conduct door-to-door raw milk confiscation operations. You can read the whole article. LA County health enforcers go door-to-door, demanding more fresh milk. It's kind of like in New Mexico a few months ago. They had an annual thing where the neighbors in the country got together and had a big cookout, less than 100 people. They brought their potatoes and tomatoes, and you get there in the morning, chop them up, by lunch have a snack, and then at dinner have this big feast, beef, chicken, all off their own farms. And then you get the homemade ice cream going, churning that. I mean, this is just standard where my folks are from. My dad's from Northeast Texas, and that's what we always did. That culture's pretty much dead now. That doesn't happen. Everybody buys the stuff at Walmart, and we all eat the GMO together there. I'm, well, not really joking. I guess somebody brings in some peas or some collard greens and, maybe some venison or something, but, mainly it's Walmart purchase stuff. So that culture's dead. And, I mean, that's how I grew up, going to grandma's. And, we'd go to somebody else's house, or neighbors would come over. You'd have like 30 people there, all this food, people playing 42, playing cards, hanging out. Might even get some square dancing going. Oh, yeah. It's all dead. It's all gone. We get to worship Homeland Security now. That's the new patriotism. But people are trying to resurrect this. The foodies, they're mainly doctors and executives. I've been out in these communities outside Austin. The average person probably makes $300,000. And they know what's going on. And I think most of them are reformed eugenicist establishment liberals. And they're all over in every community. They're all out there just with their kids, trying to be decent, trying to have a co-op with their own cows and stuff, and just having a good, wholesome life. And you're not going to have it. Do you understand? Your kids are going to go to a brainwashing camp. They're going to learn how to be crack whores. They're going to take Prozac, and they're going to take shots. Do you understand, scum? And it showed the feds showing up, training the local enforcers how to do it, and taking the potatoes, little golden potatoes, those little butter potatoes, I forget what you call them. They look like an Irish potato, but they're golden, and just dumping them in the trash and pouring bleach on them like they're toxic. Playing along like, we're going to play along like these are toxic. We're going to play along like your 2-year-old's a terrorist when we take their diaper off. We're going to play along and surveil you with a drone and have the FBI come ask you questions to make you feel guilty. We're just going to get everybody used to us putting our hand, pouring the bleach on, waving their little magic wand, and taking the food and all of it, just throwing it away. Out there with like these, upper middle class people on a gorgeous farm with a vineyard in the background and the sun setting, and there's feds stomping around, getting in people's faces, laughing at people while they pour out their food. You don't do jack squat in America. You do what you're told, period. The Pentagon's standing by with drones illegally. And the CIA comes out and says, we're watching everything you do illegally. It's illegal to operate domestically. It's illegal from the violate the Fourth Amendment. And Petraeus says, I'm a general. People just go, oh, got to support the troops. And this is how sick and over the top this whole thing is. And it's just getting started. They're like, yeah, we got re-education camps. We're going to arrest you. Yeah, we are running some highway checkpoints. We are, this morning, I heard on the local news, the city council saying, we need to get people's children to start getting them to be part of these government programs. They said Hispanics don't trust the government. They're backwards. And I mean, it was basically a Hispanic city council guy was saying this. And we need to have the kids make the parents come in and get on welfare. And we need to basically be in their homes. We don't know what these Hispanics are doing. I mean, it was like, yes, we've got a program to get the kids to watch their Hispanic parents. We need to get them in the system. I mean, I'm living in 1984. You are living in it. You're living in the takeover period. And again, this isn't just some boss hog system that wants to take over and run things and have a few checkpoints and stuff. They say they're going to take everything, your businesses, everything. They're going to stage big terror attacks and pose as saviors. 9/11 was just to get this current thing set up before the real attack. They're going to say domestic groups are doing it. This is serious business, folks. This is a total planned takeover. Let me go ahead and commit the crime on air. Now, this is not a crime yet, and it's not even a crime in California. The regulatory agencies just say, kind of like Obama says, well, there's no law, but I'm going to order power plants not owned by my buddy shut down and massively increase your coal power prices to the point of there's going to be blackouts everywhere on top of it because you're going to pay more for less. And we're going to shut down your local reservoirs and make you buy it from other companies. And there's no law, we're just going to do it. And we're going to make you pay tens of millions of dollars to move General Motors to China and other countries. That's on record. But again, we have your best interest in heart. We're going to get you American jobs. Obama, well, I know America's got an incredible engine of liberty and freedom and ingenuity. We're going to get back on our feet while he's doing everything they can to shut us down. And then in their own documents saying post-industrial world, global poverty is what's needed. And your high school daughters being brainwashed about the World Wildlife Fund that was set up so they could have poaching of animals in Africa as a front to run all sorts of scams for Prince Bernhard. The head of the Bilderberg groups had to step down as chairman, caught shipping guns and weapons and gold mining operations in the Congo. But these are nice people, though. These are really good people. And they say they want you poor. But that's out of one side of their mouth. Yeah, we're going to make you poor so we can do whatever we want to you. Oh, but we're going to pay to ship General Motors overseas because we care about you. Anyways, let me commit the crime. This is a crime in, well, it's not a crime, but it doesn't matter. It's not illegal in any state to spank your children. It's not. Look it up. But they take children every day for it. It's not illegal to not take vaccines, but they take kids every day for not doing it. Because they've got enforcers and they got bureaucrats and they got family courts that aren't real courts set up by the eugenicists 100 years ago, literally 100 years ago, where they can do whatever they want. And they've got armies of little control freaks who will tell you it's my administrative privilege to stick my hands down your pants. Law says I can't do this, but I'm God, and I'm going to exercise this power. Now get ready. And if you give me a problem, we're going to take you in the private room. And then the lip licking begins. Now, here we go. Here's the crime. This is Milt from outside Austin, Texas, Moulton, Texas, about to commit a serious evilness. Oh, my gosh. Part of trying to get healthy after years of just working so hard, not caring about myself, thinking I'd be killed any day. I just got to where I was totally unhealthy until my buddy, Tommy Pilata, said, you know what? Because you don't care if you die, you're already basically killing yourself. Why don't you stop smoking those cigarettes? Why don't you stop drinking? And why don't you lose weight and exercise? That was about 5 years ago. I never really got all the way into it, but I quit smoking. I didn't smoke a lot, but here and there. Quit smoking cigars. Basically cut back on drinking to almost nothing. And started exercising, but it wasn't until I got the proper nutrition, the proper gut flora. Not a better probiotic out there than raw milk. Allergies got better when I started doing this because the cows are eating the local flora. All of it. And here I am. I've got some whey in there. Uh-oh. I'm committing a hardcore crime. You know, we even compromised Arte Saveda. When we had him here in studio, I had some of this. And he thought it was a joke. They're arresting people for raw milk. And I said, here, have some. And he saw me drink it, so he drank it. Part of his anthropology, you know, he's with the natives locally, assessing me, but also, you know, keeping friends close, enemies closer. And so he went ahead, kind of like he was in a Ooga Booga village, and I wanted to give him some monkey brains or something. He went ahead and drank it. So I'm corrupting the Austin police chief. But now I'm going to do it myself right here. Here we go. Got some good training there at the agency, didn't you? Didn't you, Art? Oh, here I go. I'm just a dumb native, one of them dumb Americans. Here we go. Are the Klingons attacking? Oh, man. You know what this tastes like? This tastes like a Whataburger strawberry shake. But there's no sugar in it other than what's in the natural whey. By the way, this whey actually comes from non-pasteurized too. Oh, it's even worse. I'm drinking raw milk with raw produced whey. Whoa! Whoa! Folks, it's a conspiracy theory. Mammals never have drunk milk out of anything. Your wife, listen, feed the child formula. It's a conspiracy theory. Women never. Granddaddy, is it true that once we got our milk from our mommies and that milk was good? Listen, they're going to arrest you if you say that. You know they've got surveillance grids, smart dust everywhere. Oh, there's a drone. And then, of course, we'll all be picked up for that crime right there, admitting that once milk was ingested. I'm going to commit the crime again. Here we go. Doesn't get any more luscious. Here we go. Uh-oh. Send in the detectives. Send in the SWAT team. Are they coming now? Thank goodness there's a drone above with ground penetrating radar. It sees me drinking it. Oh no, I gotta get out of here. Guys, get the escape vehicle ready. Oh man. I'm such an extremist. Here we go. Hey, listen, raw milk's bad for you, but guess what is good? Guys, please, I know you've got the Napolitano clips queued up, but will you please, when we come back from break, because people won't believe this, will you queue up CBS News saying mercury is good for children's brains? Now, again, raw milk with all the key enzymes and things is like a drug. That's why they don't want you having it. See, food is a drug. It's the original drugs. It's what we're actually meant to ingest. And Big Pharma's like, no, how about some white bread and some GMO? You're going to be so sick, we got a bunch of drugs for you. How's that sound? I'll continue to commit crimes on the other side. I am a criminal because the government is run by criminals, and so not being a criminal is now criminal. That's right. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the phones up in the next hour and get into the incredible news out of the euro, the controlled banker implosion, so they can pose as saviors while raping everyone financially, publicly. A 5-year-old could figure it out, but the media thinks you're so stupid. Nationwide, in scores of reports, they still do this now. In fact, I've had parents call in and say, I can't believe it. First, I said, I don't want to give my child a vaccine. It's got mercury. First, the doctor lied. Then I demanded, or the nurse lied, the insert. And I said, look, mercury. And they go, oh, it's good for you. The Journal of Pediatrics says. Well, if the Journal of Pediatrics said jumping in a running wood chipper was good, would you do it? I mean, if the Journal of Pediatrics said shooting black children up with syphilis was good, you'd probably do it. The Journal of Pediatrics is totally and completely paid for by the globalists. It's totally paid for. Monsanto goes out and funds these groups. This is a joke. Guys, shut that studio door. For whatever reason, it didn't fully close. Thank you. Let's go ahead and play. This is CBS. This aired everywhere across the nation. This was a local version. They give them a teleprompter feed, just another point, and then they read it, and you think it's local, so you can trust it. Okay, let's go ahead and play the local news here in Austin saying mercury is good for your children's brain. But
here's tonight's medical headlines.
But raw milk is evil. Oh, Mr. Cantu, I'm sorry, CBS News, bring us back. Here we go.
Medical Watch reporter Seema Mather.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. There have been widespread concerns that mercury-based preservatives in vaccines might impair the neurological development of children. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance.
And, of course, from the perspective of lowering your IQ and brain damaging you, it's true. Mercury is the most deadly heavy metal in the brain. University of Calgary's got electron microscope footage of it. Just type in Calgary, University of Calgary, electron microscope, brain cells, mercury. You guys can just do it for folks right now. If you're a radio listener on XM or on over 100 stations out there, you can always just go to prisonplanet.tv and actually watch the video feed and see all this. But again, I shouldn't be upset that I know it's a psychological warfare program where they're trying to do outrageous stuff like raping people's kids in front of them to get them to answer questions. That's actually in law enforcement magazines. They say torture kids. That's actually good. I mean, mercury's good. Drones are good. TSA at checkpoints, out of their jurisdiction, aren't even real federal officers, groping people randomly. That's good. Open borders are good. World government's good. Federal Reserve stealing tens of trillions of dollars taxpayer money. It's good. White House advisors stealing billions, not getting in trouble. It's good. MF Global, it's good. It's good. Solandra's good. Everything's good. Tell you what's not good, though, is the stuff at InfoWarsTeam.com, where I've assembled all the best products that I've researched and found and put together in one place. One that is not there, but it is at InfoWarsShop.com. And I always pronounce this wrong. I have this little word thing where I get on air. Monofilin. Pure brown seaweed extract. I talked to medical doctors, experts, nutritionists, you name it. And it was weird. They all kept saying this brand of monofilin. And it's from a particular area off the coast of New Zealand. And it's super concentrated. Let me tell you, I'm going to be honest with you folks. I've really committed to become a total pill popper of like essential fatty acids and monofilin and tangy tangerine, and I mean, it is giving me so much energy, it's insane. I am like a new man, because I was only getting into it slowly, and it just gets better and better, and so now I'm just gobbling, and this is available at Infowars.com at the lowest price out there. There are some knockoffs out there. And you get a free Citizen Rule booklet and evilinfowars.com bumper stickers and support us. It's available at InfoWarsShop.com or call 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And you get healthy, and the globalists hate that, and you support the broadcast. But this has so many health benefits. There's dozens of them. Just go read it at InfoWarsShop.com. Modify Land. Well, America is beginning to awaken to drones, and I'm going to break that down briefly the next segment, then take calls for the rest of the hour, and then big time, one of the key witnesses, probably the most important witness out there, an ear witness, NSA Snoop system. Sybil Edmonds heard al-Qaeda being commanded by the CIA on the day of 9/11. She's broken her silence. She's going to be joining us for the full gut spilling in the third hour today. You don't want to miss that. We're going to be opening the phones up. As I said, the toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231 is the number to join us on the spectrum of news I've been covering or whatever you'd like to raise. Let's go ahead and talk to James in Florida. James, you're first up at bat today.
Hey, Alex. This is James.
Yes.
I found something online, and I haven't seen it on your website yet. It's an executive order that was given out by Barack Obama yesterday on May 16th. It says blocking property of persons threatening the peace, security, or stability of Yemen.
And then if you give money to some mainline aid group or something, and then they later claim they were aiding somebody who was aiding a terrorist. I mean, they've said with the Kony 2012 thing with that executive order that anywhere in Africa, if they claim you're aiding someone who might be aiding, who might know somebody that did aid Kony, especially anybody on the planet, if you bought a box of roses, literally there's a lot of roses come out of Central Africa and England, they're saying they might put you on a list. Yes, I was aware of that. In fact, guys, print me that article. I didn't see that in my stack. It might be there. I might have missed it. What do you think of the other big order I didn't mention, where they want an expatriate act that if you try to leave the U.S., they'll never let you return if you try to leave with your money?
Criminal, unconstitutional, these words come to mind.
Or Bilderberg Global Mafia comes to mind.
Sure does. The thing about this executive order that concerns me is it says, I hereby declare national emergency to deal with that threat. In paragraph 2.
It is a big deal. That's my point. People think I'm exaggerating how bad it is. I can't even keep track of it anymore, sir. It is insane how fast their takeover is taking place because they're getting ready to fully implode things and pose as saviors. That's going to be the sickest part when the depression gets really bad, is having to watch the perpetrators be praised as the saviors. It just really gets old.
I had one additional comment, and this is for Paul Joseph Watson. That InfoWars thing in the background when he's on YouTube is really cool, but I really liked the Patrick McGowan prisoner picture he had before.
I'm sorry, they were cutting in on my ear saying something. What did you just say?
I said this is for Paul Joseph Watson. That InfoWars thing he has behind him when he's on Skype is cool, but I like the Patrick McGowan prisoner picture better.
Well, I wanted a big printout that covered the whole wall behind him, and somehow it got miniaturized. It's kind of like Spinal Tap, where they want Stonehenge around them, like 20 feet tall, and instead they're like 2 feet tall, and the Stonehenge is dancing around them. I mean, talk about mud flaps. We need to get a big one made and put up there behind him. I'm giving more little Spinal Tap wink-winks there. You know, this show goes to 11. You understand that?
Yes.
But why not just have it go to 10 and have it be louder, but it goes to 11, sir?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, sir, did you not get enough mercury as a child?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't get as many vaccines. I actually blocked my son from getting vaccines by getting a waiver. So,
wasn't that nice of them?
I don't drink fluoride.
Oh, whoa. Sir, we're going to have to let you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've traced this call, reporting into Homeland Security right now. These people are sick. They don't trust a government that's knowingly done tens of thousands of experiments killing U.S. troops on purpose. You're supposed, I mean, these are good people. These are good people. They wouldn't stage 9/11. Sure, they nerve gas their own troops, but... Well, you know it's past the House, and they want to pass it in the Senate. If the IRS claims, the private collection agency of the private Federal Reserve, if the IRS says you owe the Federal Reserve money, no judge, no jury, just like they seize your bank account, your passport is deactivated. That's the whole point of the chip in them. This has been a long-term plan. That system's going in worldwide. They're trying to pass that right now. That's right out of Nazi Germany, right out of Soviet Russia. On top of that, they are now announcing good old Chucky Schumer. Now, the big multi-billionaires, they're all above the law offshore. They don't pay taxes like General Electric and the rest of them. In fact, you pay banker bailouts to ship what's left of the factories of China, in the case of General Motors. Never forget that. That's how much they want you to have jobs, because they're good people. Folks always say, oh, they're just idiots in government. Oh, yeah, they're running things and have dumbed everybody down and gotten away with poisoning our food and water, and admitted they do in public memos at the Rockefeller Foundation, and they're just running pretty much the whole world. Oh, yeah, they're incompetent idiots. Yeah, they're incompetent. No, they make the bureaucracy incompetent where the rubber meets the road, so you can't ever get anywhere and get lost in a Minotaur maze. That maze was designed by the big brains, the brain bugs, the New World Order, who hated humanity so much, they worked real hard to make sure they win. And the winning means killing you, as every ancient culture did to those that they'd had conflict with. It was some little wimpy tribe that they beat easily, they'd just take them as slaves. But if it was an old enemy that they'd almost lost to, we're all to be put to the sword, just as the Romans would do if someone resisted them, just as the Israelites would do if you resisted them. We're all being put to the sword, our minds right now, our bodies, but we will be physically put to the sword. And that is the hardcore victory in their eyes, in the enemy's eyes, as they just press their murderous operation. So hardcore, so vicious, so complete, so total, so wicked that the average person can't grasp the full magnitude of the exterminism that we're under. The slow creeping, take their time, take down of everything. The family's almost gone. Common sense is almost gone. The defense system is dropping. Soon it'll be automated robots and drones in full control. Tiny technocracy. It'll only be technicians servicing the technocracy. A total system of surveillance. And then the next controlled bioweapon release that they'll say terrorists did. They'll use that to clamp down anymore. They'll use that to clamp down even more and set up the metropolis, Plandopolis. And then once that's in place, they'll roll out the next phase. Probably targeting the third world first. I predict they'll kill over 90% of Africa in 1 month. Then they're going to hit Asia. Then they're going to hit Latin America. Then they're going to hit the West. Oh, I know, I'm that guy that said there'd be drones in the skies and secret arrest and re-education camps. I have their plan. It's public. It's in pieces, but it's like a perfect jigsaw puzzle. You put it together, and it's like, whoa, you stand back, you stagger, you get chills. The full magnitude hits you. It's otherworldly. It makes you really believe in the devil. Because I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of smart people, a lot of wicked, powerful people out there, but this is the mystery of evil. This is manipulated by a spiritual force that ties it together. It has its own providence, its own manifest destiny of evil. But just as Nineveh was reprieved, and as we see this same thing throughout history, if we resist evil and stand up against it and repent, and that doesn't mean one of these government-run churches. They took those over first. But if we get our hearts right and just choose the side of good and say, I want to be good, I want to be loving, you will be filled with courage and the spirit of resistance against tyranny, and to overcome it, and you will be guided. You can call it your instincts, you can call it your survival instinct, your common sense. I've been guided through my entire life to be where I am now. I didn't understand that when I was young, but some of God's greatest blessings Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers, to quote Garth Brooks. The good things that have happened to me, but the bad things were all nothing but a preparation. You've got a decision to make, my friends. I mean, look at these articles here. I just played to you where the news is saying mercury is good for your children's brains. Here's another one. BBC, National Health Service, should consider giving statins to healthy people, and they say they're going to make you take it. That's what government health care is. Folks, statins literally eat the brain. Literally rot holes in it. It gives you scurvy of the brain. That's the best way to describe it for the medical doctors I've talked to. Of the solid part, 70% or so is water. Of the solid part, over 90% is cholesterol. It is an electrochemical, oil-based computer. It's electrochemical. And it makes fluoride look like mother's milk. Oh, have you read what's in the formula? Have you read what's in it? The average formula on the store shelves, we've done this on air, is 50% corn syrup, high fructose, filled with heavy metals on record. That's just allowed. Government says so. They care about us. And on average, another 25% or so is other sugars. I mean, folks, they've done studies on rats feeding them that, and they become just these lethargic, mindless. Their brains don't grow. Mother's milk, it comes out of your mother. It's got every immunity passed on through women, through the mitochondrial DNA and other systems, back to our ancient ancestors. Every immunity is passed in the colostrum to the child. All the mother's immunities, nature's vaccine. Don't get that, child. Instead, we're going to feed you corn syrup and sugar, and we're going to wonder why these people are like gibbering jellyfish. Not me. 18 months of pure mother's milk, because I'm evil. That's another reason I'm not a slave. These people don't have a chance. Fluoride, corn syrup, GMO. Of course, the public, we are under devastating attack. And now they're launching the drones and weapon systems, and of course saying it's for citizens. And saying, we're watching you, we want you to know we're watching you. I'll get to that after calls. I got a big report on it, but I've already segued off into this. And now they want to make you take statins. They say in the U.S. they want to put them in water. And they're like, we want to put statins in the water and lithium. That'll get the suicide down. Well, we'll give you Prozac because you're depressed, which makes you commit suicide. They wonder why suicide goes up. It's THX1138. Let's go ahead and talk to Truth Warrior in Florida. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. God bless you. I got to say you're doing a great job. I've been a long-time listener for 15 years now. Keep doing a great job. I would like to make a quick comment, and then I have a quick news story for you. I'm going to take about 20 seconds of your time. First off, a quick comment to America. America, how can you let another person make decisions that affect your life and your family's life and not care? Be involved. Get involved. Do what Alex is saying. Start at a local level, go to a state level, and get to the federal level. Everybody get out there and make your voices heard. Second off, I don't know if you've seen this article. Information Liberation is a website on the web, and I live in Florida. I live in South Florida. Deerfield Beach employees are getting paid $100 to spy on their neighbors. That's right. If they see something wrong as employees of the city, they are to report it.
No. That was in the news, and then it'll be thousands to lie about their neighbors. Are there pot plants? Are they spanking? Are they yelling? That was in the news. They're training all the service workers, and you see the service workers now, not all of them, a lot of them are listeners, but when service people around your house, it's happened over the years, you see the power trip and where they're looking around, reading what you're doing, looking at stuff. And it's just like, man, I know this is the Stasi society. Drones, spies, secret arrest. It's a joke.
Yeah, this is Central down here. They come to your house. It's literally, he's right. They go to the FP&L workers and everybody. They're spying on you. They come over. They look around. The postal workers. They're all looking around. They look at our houses. They try to listen to us and see what's going on. Next thing you know, there's officers showing up to your door. It happens down here in South Florida all the time.
No, just for calling the cops on you, they get $100, and then they act like that's. So I say call the cops on them. hey, there's a guy snooping around my house. Look, I'd get in their face. I'd say, listen, you little punk snitch. Then they'll all be like, I'm calling. I'm a little special officer. Folks, see something, say something. I saw another newscast where they have TSA checkpoints on the highways, and it showed the TSA commander saying, if you see something suspicious, say something. Yeah, I see feds running illegal checkpoints. You know, you're a federal government run by foreign banks that brings drugs in. You're the threat. I see you. I say call all these police hotlines and report on the criminal government. Get in their face, man. When I see cops eating dinner somewhere now, I walk right over and I go, are you for the total takeover of America going on? Because you know it's happening. A lot of times they start laughing. Sometimes they go, no, we're not for it. I go, you going to take the vaccines under the Health Emergency States Act, the Health Emergency States Powers Act? And they go, no, I'm not taking any. So most of them, but I mean, you know, you got to walk over and go, hey, you work for criminal system. I just want you to know that. Instead of them coming to us all the time and making us scared. And again, local police generally aren't like that. It's all these federally trained ones. But now they're training your trash person, and now they're training your local police. And I mean, it's just everywhere. Now waiters and people will ask you snoop questions. You go get a rental car, they do it. And I mean, it's just like a total spy society for Al-Qaeda that publicly works for the Pentagon. I mean, I had Colonel Schaefer, who ran the anti-Bin Laden operation on, saying, yes, most of these Al-Qaeda people are government agents. I mean, of course they run Al-Qaeda, so they could do this to America. It's so crazy how fast it's moving. And now Corzon's like, I'll steal $2 billion. Everybody's like, he's allowed to. SWAT team standing by. They just, you know. By the way, police, they're going to devalue all your currency. They're going to end up taking your pension fund. They're going to get rid of you too. It doesn't matter though. Most of you are going to go ahead and follow orders. Go ahead. Here's some of the headlines at Infowars.com right now. U.S.-backed Syrian rebels now trained by Kosovo's KLA terrorists. They've opened the old Al-Qaeda training bases there. And the Pentagon admits they're using Al-Qaeda against Syria. Because I got to give my rights up because Al-Qaeda is so evil. But again, not like they're using the military on the streets of America or announcing they're going to launch drones and surveillance without warrants. I mean, everything's fine. Of course they are, but it's still okay. Panetta says authority of UN trumps Congress in getting approval for war on Syria. This is from our interview with Congressman Walter Jones yesterday. We have new info, new video up there in that big article. In fact, it should be red linked on Infowars.com. Coming up, spy drone almost causes mid-air collision with jet over Denver. Answer is ban pilots. Obama impeachment bill goes viral. Congressman calls for tougher TSA. Absolutely. He wants them everywhere. And don't worry, they will. Common ingredient in soft drinks causes brain damage and damage to brain function. Well, of course. Prominent activist backs Occupy Bilderberg campaign. L.A. County health enforcers conduct door-to-door raw milk confiscation operations. Of course. CNN hits the lowest primetime demo rating. People know who the enemy is in 15 years. So that's just some of what's at Infowars.com. Let's continue with your calls, and I'm going to do my big drone breakdown. Robert in Missouri, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
I got some news for you. Have you ever heard of, I know you know this, radio frequency energy?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I seen a UFO 20 years ago. Well, I finally figured it out. These up on these cell phone towers and radio towers, they have all these, they look like drones, but they fly. And they usually only fly them at night. I haven't ever seen them released from the towers, but I've seen them actually flying in the air. So I just wanted to blow that whole UFO thing out of the water, because they've been spying on us for over 20 years with this technology.
Well, and people seem to think a UFO means it's an alien. It just means unidentified flying object. People in the 50s and 60s would see the prototypes of the B-2 bomber. That's an ancient Tinker toy that we're told is the most advanced, along with the SR-71 Blackbird in service in 55. Yeah, fastest plane we've got, 55. And again, it's not we, it's the globalists that we are the slaves of, that we finance our own enslavement. Sorry, I had to break my conditioning. We don't have the Air Force. We don't have those weapons. My own ego was thinking it was my military. Sorry. Let me just break that right now. Sorry, I'm just still deprogramming myself. Yes, all the time out in New Mexico and Arizona, they'll film these big drones, these flying saucer drones with cameras. They'll show blimps surveilling, and they say it's a UFO when it even has propellers, because even low-tech is very effective to have a big platform of surveillance equipment on it. And the media will go along and say it's probably Casper the Friendly Martian, instead of going, oh, look, that's a surveillance drone. Because there's not supposed to be secret government technology, because Mercury's good for us. Yes, they do have a lot of drone-type equipment hidden in plain view from some of my sources I've talked to. They've got all sorts of landing decks on top buildings they're renting. They've had giant high-altitude blimps up for at least 15 years. And now they're just getting everybody ready. I remember 5 years ago, protesters in D.C. saw fake dragonflies and hummingbirds, and they were conspiracy theorists. We ran with it, and we're evil kooks. A year later, they said, yeah, we got fake dragonflies. We were watching you. Fake hummingbirds. It's all your money, sucker. And we're going to spend it, so take some more shots. We win. Sorry, I'm just thinking of how wonderful our owners are, our masters are, and all their scum servants busy being soft-killed as well. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, like I've seen pictures on the web out in California where they have all these things up on these towers, and they got them painted up like big baseballs.
Yeah, well, a lot of that is to cover up what they think is ugly cell towers. They have them as palm trees, things like that.
That's all I have, man.
Well, thank you very much. Let's jam in another call here. Let's talk to Terry in South Carolina. You're on the air. Every
time, Alex, you call me Terry, it's Trey. But
I got to let you go, man. I'm sorry. It says Terry on the screen. Let's talk to, we're going to go to break and come back with more calls. Listen, here's the deal. I don't screen your calls. They just put the names up there, so that's fine. So don't ever call back again since I call you the wrong name. We also get this thing going on where people call up to the show, tell somebody one name, and then make an issue about how it's another. I don't have time for it, man. Okay? They're putting poison in the food and water on purpose. And if we can't get your name right and you want to tell me how we get it wrong every time, you're right, man. I live my whole life sitting here, and I say whenever Cherry, or whatever his name is, calls in, I want you to get his name wrong right now. That is what I live for. You see, what I tend to do is get real sarcastic when I'm in a rage and try not to blow up about what's happening. Okay? Now, when we come back, I'm going to get into the drone news. And I'm going to go to phone calls after that. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. We shall return after this quick break with the loving 30,000 drones to target your house via the Pentagon that you paid for because they work for the Federal Reserve now, scum. I shouldn't have got mad at that caller. Actually, here's the issue. I got these bright lights in my face. I got really good eyes. But there's this little computer screen that's got their names and numbers up there. Because this is a TV show / radio. I don't sit here and answer the calls myself. I probably should. And so I do get names wrong. I call Michael Michelle, and I call names wrong. But the point is, so what? Just move on, man. I mean, I could do like Coast to Coast AM does sometimes, where, at least in the old days, they would just say, caller, where are you calling from? And you could say your name and how you're listening. But it becomes a pet peeve that when I screw up a name, or the people putting your name in there screw it up, because both happens, or people mumble it, that I'm sick of hearing about it. Do you understand that? I've probably heard that 100 times. Oh, you screwed my name up. Who cares? Look, you can call me Alice if you want. In fact, I think we're going to start calling everybody. What did dude just come in here and say? We'll call him Bob from Toledo. What was he saying? Every caller will now just be called Dave from Wisconsin. How's that sound? Every caller. Now, Mike in Alabama's calling him. We'll call him Dave in Wisconsin. And the women will all be Brenda. Brenda from Texas, okay. Actually, I've got all this news here in front of me I need to get to, but I also do enjoy taking your phone calls. I want to get into the drone pieces and play what Napolitano had to say about it. And really break down what this signifies and what this means and the magnitude of this, because it's totally illegal. And Napolitano points that out. I mean, it's illegal, but so is all of this. But I'm going to go to your phone calls, but I got to give each person like a minute, because or you'll never get on air, and I'll never get to the news. And we got a guest coming up, Seabell Edmonds. Let's go ahead and talk to Wolf in Texas. You're on the air, Wolf.
Hey, Alex. You may know me. I met you at the TSA rally down in Austin. I'm the one who got you the information on the Special Forces out of Fort Hood. deployment last year?
Yes, that was very good information. Thank you.
I've got a very good friend that saw the original Zapruder film, the uncut one, the one that hasn't been seen since 1963, except for sitting presidents. This individual's father, who was in the OSI and had high security clearance, this individual's brother, and the brother's friend who got the tape, all died mysteriously in their early 50s from heart failure.
Well, that's no big deal. Everything's fine.
He wants to come out and say what he saw, what the true film looks like, because he
Well, and we know the frames they cut out. There were other photos taken of the flashes and the powder smoke from the grassy knoll. The police all ran up there. I mean, we know we've had the head hitman who ran Black Op murders worldwide, deathbed confession, E. Howard Hunt, on this show. So, and we premiered the video, by the way. Coast to Coast had the audio, did a great job there. Sure, have them send me some information. You know, the difference is, though, if you don't have the uncut, quote, Zapruder film, which actually Groden actually did get, and because he was working at Time Life, and he actually got the Time Life photos. In fact, he's got some photos never before seen. He was waiting till his book came out to do it. By the way, call him and see if that book's out, this big color book. He was showing me photos with the whole back of Kennedy's head blown off. And he's a famous guy. I mean, he is the guy who did work there and did leak it and all that. And so I thought, from what I know, that they released to the media years later the cut one. But then, I'm going from memory here, but Groden did leak the full film. I mean, what is he saying he saw in this other film he reportedly saw?
The Umbrella Man and a shooter in the gutter that it's no longer there. Just before the sign.
Well, ma'am, I don't think the government killed Kennedy. They wouldn't do something like that. I mean, I think 91% of the American people are mentally ill. They haven't had enough mercury. I mean, the official story makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I appreciate your call, but send us the information. Again, I'm being sarcastic here today, ladies and gentlemen. Chris in Florida, you're on the air. Welcome.
Alex, yesterday in St. Petersburg, Mitt Romney showed up, and we, as we were changed staff, I had a great opportunity to bullhorn him from feet away, and that video will soon be posted. Of course, flash a great, well-read sign with our website up there. I wanted to point out also with Glenn Beck, so-called debunking the footage from Linda Thompson's documentary called America Under Siege from the 90s, and that video of the alleged concentration camp, or camps that have been debunked, and of course Glenn Beck claims to have done so afterwards. I want to point out that what Linda Thompson had done was called for an armed march on Washington, D.C. with all the militias, and she was self-appointed a militia leader for the country, and then she called that off. She said she issued a letter of cancellation and saying that it was all a publicity stunt. So I want Glenn Beck to know that he's not really such a pioneer in debunking such an easily.
Well, I mean, look, that's the oldest trick in the book. For a month, Beck said he was going to expose the FEMA camps that are admitted on record for, quote, emergencies, and now they admit re-education camps, and he should come back and retract himself. Then he has the classic government minions from Hearst Publishing, the fathers of yellow journalism, on, and says, oh my gosh, none of it's true, and goes and debunks things that we debunked years ago. And I had predicted on record that he would do it. But I only said it the day before he aired it so that I wouldn't influence my prediction. But I appreciate your call, sir. I can't wait to see that Mitt Romney footage. Matt in Pennsylvania, you're on the air.
Alex, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay, I guess. I'm glad that in L.A. County, they get the list of people that have bought raw milk and SWAT team raid them. I think that's good. That sounds like a free country to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely a free country there. Hey, I wanted to ask your opinion about this summer. I'm planning on taking my daughter to New York City, but just with everything going on, I mean, do you think it's safe?
New York City is I like New York City in many respects. I mean, it's interesting. But it is the capital of the Western New World Order. And I probably will never take my children there. And, you know, I have to debate whether I need to get them out of this country. The problem is there's nowhere to run. I mean, this country really is been taken over by vicious criminals that want to kill their opposition. I mean, we're run by some bad people. So I would just think about that. I mean, if you've got the money and have already gotten prepared and stuff, and you think you want to give her the cultural experience of going to the New York Natural History Museum and the planetarium and stuff, it's interesting. I'd love to take my children there, but I don't have time to drive them there, and I just can't let weird perverts, you know, grab them and drag them in a back room and rip their clothes off and everything and have cops SWAT team me and beat me over the head. So, you know, just country's dying right in front of me. It's real sad.
If we have to do that, we're not going to see whatever attractions, you know, because I'm not going to let somebody lay their hands on my daughter.
Well, they're now doing that at a lot of it. At Disney World and stuff, they're starting selective groping and have scanning, and the Pentagon admits it's a laboratory of prison cities. Disney facilities now are Pentagon-run models. I mean, you can actually look this up. Disney admits this. This is in their public reports. First one I saw was in '96. Just type in Disney Pentagon Laboratory, and you think it's fun with everybody there, but it's actually a model of a concentration camp. How you go in, how you're surveilled, how you purchase. It's a model of the cashless society beast system. How's that sound?
Sounds like a all-American great family vacation. Can I tell you real quick about my experience in 2006 traveling?
Sure.
Okay, my family and I were flying from Pennsylvania down to Disney World. We were at Pittsburgh Airport. Now, I've had 3 major hip surgeries due to a neurological condition.
You're a bad person. You're a bad person.
And I had a card with me stating that I had metal in my right hip.
Sir, they don't care. They're there to make you learn that you're a prisoner and to make you learn that you're a suspect in bad. This is slave training. Okay? This is about breaking your will.
Pulled me aside for a half hour. I could not believe it, you know, because my daughter was 4 at the time. She was scared. She didn't know what was going on.
That's all. They're training your daughter to see daddy taken away. That's why they have FEMA training to take the kids away and they have the kids put their hands up and get on the buses. It's all slave training, sir.
She knows I listen to you, too. And she's always like, if you ever call in Alex Jones, tell Alex Jones I said hi. You know, so my 9-year-old daughter, Nicolette, says hi and says to keep doing what you're doing.
So, but I mean, look. I've seen them scream at people over 2 ounces of something, you know, the hotel shampoo, and then that's even allowed. They don't care. It's about training you that you're bad. Government wants to teach you. You're a bad human that hurts the earth. Government is your God. Government is good. And all the scum that government's hiring is your God. That's what tyranny is. They turn loose the worst people that no one wants to associate with, that no one wants to be friends with, that no one wants to be around. They become our gods. Don't you understand that?
I watch They Live, and it feels like I'm watching a documentary.
You haven't seen anything yet, buddy. When they start shutting down freedom of speech, start arresting people, it's going to get bad. And it's going to get real bad for the enforcers, too. But that's part of the plan, too. All these tough guys. When they put the American people's back up against the wall, all their drones and all their crud's going to mean nothing. But the bankers don't care because they're going to sit offshore. It's all part of the plan. And all the bureaucrats are going to just play right along with it. I appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and go to our drone breakdown. It is illegal for the Department of Defense to be engaged in any domestic operations. But as they've announced with NDAA, they'll kill you, they'll arrest you, they'll disappear you. It violates Posse Comitatus. They've announced a $40+ billion funding program for 30,000. I think that sounds like a lot. The Air Force has more than that alone. 30,000 drones, including Reapers and Predators. including arms systems, and they are to be used domestically against farmers, against for enviro regs. The spy satellites worldwide are already being used from Australia to the U.S. that you paid for to watch your farm, to claim they see runoff from your cows, fining you. Just a total high-tech 24 surveillance. They can dial in and your phone turns on in your house. It lets us tell you your cell phone. All the new appliances have tracker chips and audio/video, depending on the system, dialed in via the smart meter that will control the temperature of your home, all being announced. We tell you 6-7 years ago about the plan for the smart meter, and it wasn't openly admitted then, but it was in government documents. We were conspiracy theorists. Now it's admitted. But a spy drone, again today, almost flew into a passenger jet over Denver International, and FAA is investigating an extremely dangerous incident. It was the drone that almost caused the accident, but it doesn't matter. The answer is just get rid of pilots. And again, they'll still be there like a ceremonial toilet attendant or a waiter. But the aircraft's going to be flown by the robots. Means the globalists can make your plane crash if they want. Has a lot of other good little options for you. Hope you'll all enjoy that as well. Hundreds of products already have nanotech in it that is passing the blood-brain barrier and causing new neurological disorders. I know you're going to enjoy that as well. Continuing, this was, on again, a big story. Got a lot of traction, as it should, yesterday. It was up on Drudge till this morning. It's at Infowars.com by Steve Watson. Judge Napolitano, first patriot to shoot down a government spy drone, will be a hero. Blast illegal use of plastic drones to spy on Americans in their backyards. And Shepard Smith, who, other than Napolitano, is one of the better people on Fox, because they know the libertarian system is very popular, so they let those guys talk about a little bit of freedom, but on a short leash. And he points out, as a local news reporter, if somebody had a fence, really it's about an 8-foot fence is what the regs and laws say, but he said if it was a 12-foot fence and some guy's got his movie star girlfriend out there sunbathing naked, I can't jack a camera up on a tripod and look at her, I go to jail. That's illegal. And Napolitano goes, yes, it's illegal for the government as well. And then they just go into it all. But in the earlier parts of the two newscasts that we have posted in the article on InfoWars, the news is saying it's good on Fox. They're going to keep us safe from Tim McVeigh. Is that potting soil really explosives? You're being watched. And then they cut to these guys with the rest of the story. But here is Napolitano saying he agrees with a columnist that said the first person to shoot down a drone is going to be a hero. No, the first person to shoot down one of these illegal drones is going to get SWAT-teamed and dieseled till their feet explode and tortured and probably gang-raped, because the government's run by sadomasochistic murdering scum who hate this country. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
Well, I listened to Charles Krauthammer last night, and Democrats too. There seems to be bipartisan outrage from this, about this. Do you think this is one time where both sides will come together?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, when the president bombed Libya, the Congress looked the other way. Now the president wants to dispatch plastic drones to spy on Americans. It would be reprehensible for the Congress to look the other way. And I want to give a shout out to Charles Krauthammer. He's 100% correct. The first American patriot that shoots down one of these drones that comes too close to his children in his backyard will be an American hero.
But I'm just going to give you another scenario. Lackawanna 6, training in Buffalo. They think there's something going on there. They can't get in, but they can see above. Would you say it's okay to use a drone for that?
Get a search warrant from a judge. That's what the Constitution says.
All right, we'll find out if a drone is coming to a neighborhood near you. And if
coming to a neighborhood near you, but again, it's to keep us safe from a terrorist. The terrorist that the government openly funds in plain view in front of everyone. People say, Alex, I don't know if 9/11's an inside job. It was in Newsweek the hijackers were trained at U.S. bases, and the colonel went public and said, I trained Muhammad Atta. The government's involved in this. Of course, criminal elements. They ran drills of attacking the exact same buildings at the exact same time on 9/11. Same thing on 7/7 in London. And it came out there that an MI6 agent was running that operation, and the guys were patsies that thought they were part of a drill. Folks, don't ever get recruited as an informant and they want you to simulate explosives. In fact, people know that now. That's why they've actually got to find mentally retarded people now to set up. Before they would get like a school teacher. Hey, you're a Muslim, you've spoken out against Muslim extremism. How would you like to get paid on top of it, do some simulations? Oh, sure. Okay, here's the backpack. Have a nice day. there's nothing the slaves won't buy. Oh, it's so good. You know, some days I get really nasty and surly, and then I'm sarcastically saying the stuff that's in the news, but it still sounds like satire because it's so over the top. And I may sound mean to the system, calling them scum, trash. If people would have done this with the Soviets or with the Nazis or with others, stuff wouldn't have gone the way it did. I mean, we got to call this out. You know how many Rockefeller Foundation documents we posted at Infowars.com over the years where they admit sterilants in the food and water, brain damaging us, how they're doing it, all the other UN documents. I mean, it's all right there. I mean, they're killing us, man. This is serious. And then even when Fox criticizes the drones, because CNN and others are like, Anderson Cooper, who admits he's CIA, is like breathless. It'll keep us safe. 30,000 drones. Thank God the Pentagon's here. It's so good to have troops everywhere. Yeah, it's great in every third world country. Yeah, Anderson. And I'm sitting there looking at all of this. And even on these Fox News shows, if you go to Infowars.com to our article about it, Judge Napolitano, first patriot to shoot down government spy drone, will be a hero. In the first half, I'm just showing you the second clip, second parts, they introduce it like it's a good thing. And, hey, they're coming to watch you in your house. Isn't that great? Ha! And mercury's good for your kids. Ha! And, yeah, almost pure corn syrup shown to brain-damaged children is in your formula. And that's funny, too. It's funny how we got the highest cancer rate and everything else. Man, this is really funny. This is funny. It's like I walked out of P.F. Chang's a couple years ago, and I said, that's the DynCorp building. They got caught running giant child kidnapping rings. The cop started laughing. He goes, I know, I do work for him sometimes, like the head, the head commander or whatever. They all just laughed at me. It was just funny. Because, see, if they didn't laugh, they'd have to, oh, you're good guys that fight crime. There it is right there. Oh, I do off-duty work for them. And, of course, most people in the building aren't involved in that. It's just like the police don't even investigate money laundering by big banks. But when you go in to wire $1,000, you get 20 questions because you're a low-down scum American. Or, if you're getting a check for, say, $5,000 to pay somebody. Oh, what's this for? Oh, you're going to do little secret police questions? Yes, we are. Do you have something to hide? Oh, really? How much drug money is this bank launder? Shut up and stop treating me like a criminal, you filth. You little Stasi spy. You're the threat. You're the scum. You're the dirtbag. You want to make me feel guilty. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to get angry anymore. Let's just go back and go to the next Napolitano clip when he was on with Shepard Smith. Here it is.
Thanks. Well, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano is with. They can't require us to build an extra bedroom, but I guess they can spy on us from ahead.
Well, they can't spy on us from ahead.
They really can't, can they?
No, they can't.
But they will.
Did you see any legislation enacted by the Congress or signed by the President or any amendment to the Constitution?
No.
Answer, no. These are regulations in which bureaucrats gave themselves the authority to capture images of us in the privacy of our backyards, and depending upon how low the drones fly, Jonathan can back me up, inside the home, if the drone is able to see inside the home, and to retain and analyze and distribute amongst members of the government what they find. This is not permitted by the Constitution. It's not permitted by federal law. The Congress didn't vote on it. The President's been silent about it. Bureaucrats did it on their own.
And this has been the case forever, and I know from working local television 15, 20, longer than that ago, if you, as a citizen, have a reasonable expectation of privacy, for instance, your girlfriend is laying out by the pool in the backyard, and you have a 12-foot fence around your backyard. If my television camera shoots over that 12-foot fence at that woman who's naked in the backyard, I've committed a crime because she has a reasonable expectation of privacy. The drone shouldn't be allowed to do that either for the exact same reason.
I would make the same argument as your hypothetical neighbor who wants to see what your girlfriend looks like. The government would commit the crime. Shep, this is very serious. It's one thing for the government to do it. It's another thing for the Defense Department to do it. The Defense Department cannot engage in any activity in the United States of America.
All right, we'll be back.
From the president.
Hey, everything they do is illegal. They don't care because they're hijackers. The people running the country work for foreign banks. Seabell Edmonds is going to be joining us coming up in the next segment. We'll also get to some of your calls. Well, Panetta, the SecDef, has said it again. He says the authority of UN trumps Congress in getting approval for war on Syria. Defense Secretary reaffirms Obama administration's unconstitutional stance. following controversy over his assertion that seeking international permission from the UN to launch wars trumps the authority of Congress. Secretary of Traitorous Activity, Leon Panetta, the hijacker for Goldman Sachs over the U.S., reaffirmed this premise during a recent testimony before the vestigial ceremonial Congress, in which he again stated that Congress would play a second fiddle to the international community, i.e. foreign eugenics criminal bankers. Asked, adding parts to Paul Watson's article here as we go, asked by Congressman Walter Jones, who has launched a resolution reaffirming the limits of presidential power by making the launching of war without congressional approval an impeachable offense, whether President Obama would seek re-election or authorization from Congress before attacking Iran or Syria, Panetta stopped short of answering in the affirmative. But he did kind of go backwards a little bit, which is a good sign. We can put more pressure on him. He goes, we will clearly work with Congress while we steal trillions out the back door. You'll never stop us. Excuse me. We will clearly work with Congress if it comes to the issue of the use of force, said Panetta, backing away from comments made in March, which we have a link to, when he told the Senate Armed Services Committee, quote, our goal would be to seek international permission, and we would come to Congress and inform you and determine how best to approach this, whether or not we would want to get permission from the Congress. I want to see if I can get permission. I might want to get permission before I grab a lady in a park, Panetta says, and beat her over the head. Or maybe I'll just do it if I feel like it. Continuing here, however, Panetta later told Congressman Randy Forbes during the House Armed Services meeting, the commander-in-chief has the authority to take action. The commander-in-chief, what a joke. That involves the vital interests of this country. That means the vital interests of the bankers in destroying America, adding that the president would have to, quote, take steps to get congressional approval under the War Powers Act. So that's actually a big reversal. Would the approval be required before you could take military action against Syria, asked Forbes? The president could act, it could in fact deploy forces if he had to, if our vital interests were at stake, Panetta said. So you get the support of Congress after you begin military operations, asked Forbes. In that particular situation, yes, said Panetta, reaffirming the congressional authorization would not be needed. But he's gone from just laughing and going, shut up, to him. I mean, but don't worry, all those congressmen are going on a no-fly list. There are a lot of members of Congress on a no-fly list. You think I'm joking, guys? Just type in members of Congress on no-fly list. And they go to the bureaucracy and say, hey, get me off that. And they say, shut up. You saw the congressman down in San Antonio where they pull him out, they have the cops waiting, and they say, look, you're going to get crushed. They're not flying. The cop sits there, and he just has to lean back, and the TSA goes to work. And then they go, you got a problem, punk? And I'm not joking. That was on the news. He says they single him out. He flies every week, and they just get in his face, and they hurt him bad. And how many Hollywood people, Miss USA, Ron Paul, Jesse Ventura, and they point out that they either enjoy it or enjoy hurting them. And they'll even ask them out on dates and stuff and say, can I have here's a naked scan of your body. We got a still. Can you sign that for us? That's come out in the news. And of course, they lied and said they don't save the scans. Of course, they do. They said there was no radiation. Of course, there is. There was no cancer increase from it. Of course, now that's confirmed to cover up. You got to feel sorry, though, for the little goblins that just enjoy exercising power. I'm somebody. I have power. That famous TSA agent going, I have power, beating their chest like King Kong, but in a ninnying way. I have power. I have power. I have power. And then the others that flip out and go, I'm God, and just start dancing around insanely. Because imagine that poor little people who can't even tie their shoelaces now get to act like God. And they just go insane.
Here at LAX about 7:30, probably crowded because a lot of people were coming home from the New Year's holiday, when suddenly a man starts acting strangely. He starts saying, I'm God, I'm in charge. LAX police arrest that man, and he turns out to be a TSA agent. They are the first line of defense in airport security, Transportation Security Administration agents. But there have been two troubling incidents.
By the way, that's not the only time they flip out and begin trying to rape women, asking them out on dates, robbing things, groping children. I mean, just a group of crazy people. I mean, who wants a job taking people's diapers off and groping their wives and children in front of them? This is total federalization, total tyranny. No country does this, not even North Korea. And now they're on the streets. And all of it based on the fraud, the giant stinking pile of lies that is the false flag staged event of 9/11. Months before 9/11, I said that criminal elements of the government were going to blow up the World Trade Centers and blame it on their CIA asset, bin Laden. I said it the day of the event. And I went from over 100 radio stations to less than 30 in 1 month. And I was told, stop saying it by the stations or we're going to turn you off. And I said, I can't. I saw him blow up Building 7 that day. Remember that? I saw Rand Corporation documents about plans for this. I saw the media gearing up for people to give up their rights when the terrorists hit. And Newsweek reports the hijackers were trained at U.S. bases. There were drills for a stand-down that was Tripod 2. They found the passports within hours. And that's impossible for them to survive and be found. And I went on and on and on. It's the truth. I've got to tell the truth. My point is, I didn't come out and say, I was already exploding in talk radio 12 years ago. But leading up to 9/11, 11 years ago, or 10 and a half years ago, I had made it. I was successful. I'd been on air, 5 years and was already very successful and saw that all reversed because I would tell the truth. I'm saying I paid a big price. Financially, my career, everything. But my career isn't a career about money or fame. It's about exposing this. And I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm pointing out a lot of people have given their lives to tell the truth, like Barry Jennings that died shortly after we aired an interview with him, the deputy head of emergency management admitting bombs in Building 7. So many others. I've interviewed police officers who've been death threatened after they come on, who were there and heard the countdown to blow up 7. And we have the footage of cops saying, get back, they're going to blow up 7. That's CNN. We have BBC saying, it had fallen before it did. We have them. And the problem with 9/11 is there's thousands of pieces. But bottom line, it was used to take our rights. Now, we're about to go to Seabell Edmonds. But the point is, people contact us, good old boys I run into, military, generals I meet with, retired generals, and they go, Alex, look, I know that the government does a lot of bad stuff, stage Gulf of Tonkin and things, but it's just hard to believe the government would do that. And I go, it's not the government. It's the criminal banking elements that launder the money, run the child kidnapping rings that are on record in Congress that Seabell Edmonds exposed and others have. They are the ones that have hijacked the country, and there are radical Muslims. There are groups they fund. It's in the news that they're funding al-Qaeda to attack Syria. They gave Libya to al-Qaeda. They're training the Kosovo Liberation Army with al-Qaeda. In the mainstream news is reporting on it to go into Syria. The U.S. ambassador of the UN said last week, there'll be more bombings, Assad, if you don't step down. They're calling them activists who are blowing up police stations in Syria. This is the reality. And I've interviewed Colonel Schaefer, who said, yes, a SWAT and a lot of these other guys, they're double agents inside the Pentagon and FBI. Yes, this stuff's staged. And he was hunting bin Laden. Could have killed him, wasn't allowed to. But the biggest whistleblower out there, bar none, is Seabell Edmonds. She's the editor of Boiling Frogs Post and co-founder director of the National Security Whistleblowers Coalition. She's a recipient of the 2006 Penn Newman's owned First Amendment Award. Ms. Edmonds worked as a luggage specialist for the language specialist for the FBI. I was thinking about the TSA, where she reported serious acts of security breaches and cover-ups. She was looking at NSA intercepts and listening to it. And for that, she was retaliated against and unfairly fired. Now, I want her to recap her story. She told Congress in closed session, closed hearings. Then she was told, shut up. There's other whistleblowers, but they didn't have the courage that she's had to go public. She later broke the gag order and went through what she heard, the government drug dealing, al-Qaeda being commanded, arms dealing. Now they admit they grow the opium in Afghanistan. So I wanted to just preface all of this up front, that she's undoubtedly the biggest and most senior whistleblower to actually put the finger from the inside, not just the image we're seeing from the outside, clearly using the attacks to take our liberties, launch wars, lie about WMDs, create a clash of civilizations as PNAC called for. And her website is classifiedwoman.com. She has a new book out in the startling new memoir, Seabell Edmonds, the most classified woman in U.S. history, takes on a surreal journey that begins with a secretive FBI down the dark halls of feckless Congress to a stonewalling judiciary and finally to the national security whistleblowers movement she spearheaded. We'll stop right there and bring her up with us for the balance of the hour, but it's great to have her here with us. Correct any points that I may have gotten wrong. Recap your story, what you heard, and what your book covers.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for this great intro. One of the things is when you just mentioned that I'm the most classified woman in the history of the United States, this is what the United States legal communities, including the ACLU, have commented that, you know, they slapped me with the state secret privilege, not once, twice. And with this book, Classified Woman, we have been fighting the FBI and the Justice Department for over a year to get this book out, to publish it. And you have to submit it to the FBI because they own you. When you work for agencies like this and you obtain clearance, they make you sign these forms and papers, and you give up every single right you have as a citizen. Most importantly, you give up your First Amendment right. I didn't realize it when I took the job with the FBI 3 days after 9/11. I was naive. I was one of the majority in the United States who believed FBI was a, good law enforcement agency. I had a master's degree in public policy, and my head was filled up with all these theoretical and fantastical lies that we still have separation of powers and system of checks and balances. So I went ahead and I signed those papers. Well, they used those papers saying, you have no right to publish a single word in this book. Ordinarily, they take it, all these people who have had clearance with FBI, they have to submit it, okay? I mean, this itself is police state, because this is absolutely contradiction to our First Amendment. And the FBI has to go through it and decide what they need to redact, and they have 30 business days to do that. They sat on it for 1 year. They sent letters to my attorney. They said they are not releasing a single word. Not a single word.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Let's tell people what you were doing. You were for the FBI looking at NSA intercepts. So you, 3 days after 9/11, you get hired. They're hiring a big force to go in there and listen to the Arabic and things. You're hearing Al-Qaeda. I mean, tell people in a nutshell the intercepts, what you heard.
Well, first of all, there were several areas where I was working for the FBI, counterintelligence and also counterterrorism. Now, some of these files dated back to mid-1990s, Alex, 1996, okay? And it covered the period 96 to 2001. And we, as a nation, and this is not the FBI, okay? This is the CIA and the State Department, our military-industrial complex. We were busy working in Central Asia and in Caucasus. These are the Turkic republics, the ex-Soviet Union states. And I do speak those languages. I speak Turkish, I speak Azerbaijani, so I had to re-review because they had been translated, summary translation before. And basically, it showed that our government, has been working with, they didn't even call them Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda didn't get to be called Al-Qaeda until 9/11 in the FBI. They still refer to them, our government, as Mujahideen, our allies Mujahideen. So they were creating cells in Central Asia and Caucasus, and they had an arm of NATO, and this is through their, Turkey's ally countries, a NATO member, and creating cells together with these elements from Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Bin Laden and Ayman Zawahiri. And they were pouring hundreds of millions of dollars, creating these terror cells against Russia in Central Asia and Caucasus, in Azerbaijan, in Kyrgyzstan, in Tajikistan.
And they're using the same terror cells against Libya and Syria and against Russia again, while using them against us to take our liberties.
Yeah, they've been using and they've been partners with these people. Those people actually work for us. They have been working for us since 1980s, the big Afghan Soviet
And this is after the Russian thing, though. You're seeing stuff 96, and you said
exactly.
And you said up to the day of 9/11. Tell us about those.
We built 300 madrasas, with our money, our taxpayers' money. Congress would help the federal government, and this is the State Department and Pentagon, to funnel money to these Turkish construction companies. These were front companies, as these are the U.S. aid to to bring democracy to these states. When the money was being used, building madrasas, bringing Zawahiri several times into Azerbaijan. So for the FBI, it was a shock because the FBI, they were not like the CIA. I mean, not the heads of FBI, they're part of the same police estate, but these agents for years have been calling for real investigations, but they were being shut down by the State Department and the CIA. This was our so-called diplomatic foreign relations. This was what we were doing. We were also doing it in certain regions of China. You know, it's referred to as East.
By the way, stay there. You know, whistleblowers are protected under the Constitution when they're exposing criminal activity. Folks, you're hearing, I mean, she's breaking stuff down here that it, again, absolutely proves it. I mean, she saw the intercepts with bin Laden right up to 9/11 under CIA command. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're listening up. She had one of the highest security clearances, reading NSA intercepts, CIA, you name it. And she's working for the FBI, and from what she's saying, there's some good people in the FBI. We know that head of counterterrorism, O'Neill, quit and even told British papers they're working with al-Qaeda, they're going to stage something and use it to launch wars. Yeah, and a lot more. And then, of course, he died on 9/11 in the World Trade Center, if you can believe that. But going back to Sibel Edmonds and her new book we're going to be talking about, this is a short segment, long segment coming up. We're going to do a commercial-free, long interview with her on Friday on InfoWars Nightly News as well, and hopefully have her on video Skype. She's on phone today. So, Sibel, continuing, let's get to the nitty-gritty and how you did get the book published. But first, you know, I mean, repeat, because you didn't break the gag order until a few years ago, and now you're going even further. And they've been persecuting people that expose them. Obviously, we know there's a whole NSA division that's leaked just to spy on government people that know the truth of 9/11. But tell folks the relationship with al-Qaeda, drug dealing, weapons, and the CIA, State Department. Break it down for folks.
Let me give you one very straightforward example. In mid-90s, okay, this is U.S. and NATO. They used the largest private Turkish airline, okay, that went into Caucasus and Central Asia, and this place, Central Asia and Caucasus, had mujahideen from all over the place. You know, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. Part of the group was actually Chechens, and they brought these mujahideen into Turkey. They gave them Turkish passports. They trained them militaristically for 3 to 6 months with Turkish passports. Then these individuals, the same mujahideen, these are the people under Zawahiri, under bin Laden, they were with NATO planes. Again, Turkey is a NATO country. Were then transferred into Bosnia, you know, back into Albania, Kosovo region. We were working the same thing. We were taking them actually into Romania. And they all held Turkish passports, okay? Well, these people were the people, as I said, we have been partnered with. And then 9/11 happens, and they come out and they say there is, you know, this al-Qaeda, this brand that sounds pretty ferocious, al-Qaeda. And then there is this bin Laden, and these people have been, you know, they hate us and the way we live. Well, I always tell people, Alex, terrorists, no matter from where, they cannot take away our freedom. They can't make a dent into our Constitution. Not a dent. The only power capable of taking away our liberties and destroying our Constitution is the government, our own government. You can have a terrorist, either domestically or internationally, blow up a bus, but can they blow up a Constitution? Well, that's what our government has been doing since 2001, 9/11. They have been, basically, they have made Constitution irrelevant, because Constitution today is some kind of a historic document.
Because we're just one more country.
Is gone.
We're just one more country that they're looting, just like Afghanistan for the opium. And of course, there's all these factions of different groups that want the opium. Of course, al-Qaeda, Mujahideen, was the faction that worked with the West. This was all a big joke for them to help knock out the other Taliban and people who had been shutting down opium production.
Absolutely. And have you ever heard anyone in the mainstream media, or even the quasi-alternative media, talking about this? The heroin and opium production is a no-no. It's a no-no. They won't touch that topic. Look at Afghan GDP. They don't even have a GDP, right? Well, their whole economy is based on this, and we are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars. Where is it going? They point out once in a while, Time magazine and those crap shooters, they say, look at those guys with shalwar, those bearded guys. They are the warlords who have all the opium. Those guys don't have hundreds of billions of dollars. Who are the ones who are getting these hundreds of billions of dollars? Who are the real players? I mean, you look at NATO and say, that's one arm of NATO nobody dares to expose. And it's been the case for so long. But you find one person, one reporter from the mainstream or the quasi, the Soros-funded quasi-alternative, and show one who dares touching this particular
No, it's
topic.
all a total hoax. We're about to go to break, long segment coming up, but get back into more of these communiques. What did you think as you're in there as an FBI translator reading this? You were somebody, with all these degrees and things that believed the official narrative of how the world works. What was going through your mind?
I was so naive. I thought if I were to go and tell the people in Congress, in the Senate Intelligence Committee, if I were to go to court, I was going to expose this, and we were going to have a bunch of high-level U.S. officials go to jail. I was that naive. I mean, I was almost stupid. And so I did go through these so-called channels, and with every channel, they shut me up further. They even invoked gag orders illegally, unconstitutionally on Congress via retroactive classification, and it took me 4 or 5 years to realize there is no system. The system has been broken. There's only one branch of government, and that is the police, the state government. One. There is no separation of powers. They have the federal court.
Stay there. We're going to be right back. My friends, again, people say, hey, it's fun to hate Muslims. It's fun to think they're hiding under every table. Okay, but the government, even if you believe that, is bringing in record numbers to the West, okay? I don't think they're bad people. I'm not buying that propaganda. My point is that if you know about British intelligence radicalizing the Wahhabists and using them to create Saudi Arabia, if you know about every time these Arabic-speaking nations that are always been highly advanced in their city-state areas, inventing mathematics, you name it, tries to build up a civilization on par with the West, they just send in the jihadis. They've been doing it for 100 years. And we're seeing it right now, again, in the Balkans. We're seeing it right now. People say, well, you're for the Serbs. No, I'm not for the Serbs. I'm not for the Muslims. I'm for whoever the globalists are attacking. And they'll play Christians off against Muslims. Then they'll play Muslims, off against the Russians. They'll play... This just goes on and on. And think about what a master skeleton key Al-Qaeda is. They create it because the real Taliban had cut opium production down to nothing. They blow up the World Trade Centers, blame it on Al-Qaeda, create this narrative, set up some hijackers that were really taking part in drills. We know that. They just set them up. Add at the topless bars, drinking liquor, all of it. Mossad, FBI following them, all part of the drill. They set up guys. Now it's going to be harder because people understand this. Just like 7/7, it's the same story over and over again. And again, it's criminal elements, globalists that want to bring in the national security state, shut down free speech, bankrupt the country, have the military-industrial complex gobble up the U.S. as they've done the rest of the world. And then meanwhile, the average soldier going off to die thinks they're fighting Al-Qaeda as the globalists race to replace them with robots and drones. Soon you won't even be in the equation. Your death benefits are stolen. You're treated like crud. Record suicides. We had corrupt good old boys 50 years ago, but they didn't have troops serve 7-8 tours. And then they say, you're the new enemy. Now they're flipping from Al-Qaeda to domestic groups. They're getting ready to stage terror attacks and blame it on constitutionalists. You think they hate independent Arab countries or Muslim nations? They really hated independent America. They hate anybody that doesn't want to get rid of the family and take the eugenics and be part of this. We're going to go back to Sibel Edmonds here in just a moment. The point is that when you see something of this magnitude, and she's on record, she testified to Congress. It's on record. I've confirmed from countless sources what she's saying. It's all come out now. The troops started going, I don't want to grow the opium, so they just hide it in plain view on the news. Yeah, we grow it. It's patriotic. And then the troops think, well, it must not be bad. It's on Fox and CNN that we grow the opium and load it on C-130s. When they took over Afghanistan, they put conscripts in the front lines to be killed as theater. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda were just waiting to be put on C-130s and flown to Pakistan and paid in gold bars, BBC reported, to start the next phase. Al-Qaeda's made up. And now you have the TSA taking over. Now you have total federalization, the drones. And they're saying, oh, yeah, the new threat is patriots. I told you that was coming. They always get rid of the rights on an unpopular minority. They're following an exact program. Now, going back to Sibel Edmonds, I want to try to give you the floor now because I can hear, I've heard you a lot of times on radio, you're very, very focused and calm. I can tell you're emotional today because I must have gotten you fired up. Tell us, again, more about what your book covers. If they were sitting on it for a year threatening people, how did you finally get it published? Tell folks where they can get it. But then go through, for people that don't know, the type of communiques you read, what you saw, because when you finally broke your gag order, they didn't persecute you like they've done others because they don't want to bring attention to this. You've got a lot of courage because they've killed others that have tried to do what you're doing. I want you to speak about that if you've had threats or things like that. But I want you, Sibel Edmonds, to biggest whistleblower in 9/11, maybe in U.S. history. I mean, she makes the Pentagon Papers look like a joke. And we've had the Pentagon Papers guy on, and he said 9/11 was an inside job, and then said, change that, I'm getting heat, reverse that, I want to go back, but that's a side issue. Sibel, again, tell us the rest of the meat, because you said 2 years ago when you broke your gag order that you were able to see the communiques with Al-Qaeda being commanded by the CIA right up to 9/11. Tell us what you saw.
Well, Alex, it's very hard to give sound bites because one of the things that media does, they never provide people with context. And that's why I wanted to write this book and I wanted to put it out. Give people the context, the detail. Give them the whole thing. That's when they start getting the picture. Because when it comes in little bylines or little, small headlines here and there, it's in bits and pieces. And this is why for over a year, government has been, right now, I'm under this threat. These are official letters. It's on my website, in my attorney's, on my attorney's website. They said, I'm going to face prosecution if I publish this book. Okay? I said, I am going to do it under my First Amendment, and I'm going to stand up for my First Amendment. And the big publishers, the mega corporate publishers, they didn't want to touch it. They said they didn't want to get on the wrong side of the FBI. I said, fine, I will publish it myself. I went and I hired my own editors, my own, people to help me with the cover of the book. Everything in this book, I did it. You know why? Because those publishers, unless it is kosher by the government and considered kosher, a lot of CIA whistleblower books are coming out. They're not whistleblower books. They are actually sanctioned by the agency.
They're whitewashes to act like it's a whistleblower to sell false narratives because people only believe the cognitive dissonance when it poses as a whistleblower, and Cass Sunstein at the White House admits that's part of a strategic program.
Absolutely, Alex. Absolutely. Anyone who says otherwise, I will line up people. My organization has 150 national security whistleblowers, especially with the CIA. The CIA doesn't want your book to get out. It won't come out. Guaranteed, or you're going to be jailed, okay? And then they're going to do what they did with Colonel Schaefer. They're going to reenact Fahrenheit 451. They're going to take these books, they're going to burn them. That's what we are doing. That's what our government has been doing. So I challenging that, standing up for my country.
All right, I want to stop you right there because this is so amazing. We're going to have an in-depth hour-plus interview tomorrow on the Nightly News, commercial-free, but I always start a story and never finish it. I started the interview by saying I lost 70+% of my stations. I went through hell for exposing 9/11 as an inside job, death threats, you name it, but nothing compared to you. They're threatening you with prison publicly after 10 years of you trying to expose this evil. If you publish this book, and you've done it, and I just cannot say with enough words how much courage that you've got, but I mean, I wish more men were like you.
Alex, because there are so few of us who are becoming whistleblowers and doing this, they are getting away with so much of this because they intimidate people. I tell people, imagine with the torture cases, if we had 30 CIA officers, most of them are dirty people anyway, but let's say they walked out and they said, we quit, this is despicable, and they went to the media. They wouldn't even call them whistleblowers. The problem is we have become exception to the rule, okay? So therefore they can finger point and say they must be nutcases, they are eccentric, they are disgruntled employees. The media, they make sure they don't cover the case, so they get away. But we need the numbers. There must be other people I know from the FBI, so many people, good agents, wanted to do the same thing, but they were afraid. They were afraid they were going to lose their pension. They were afraid because they had...
Hey, they've tried to destroy Schaefer.
They wanted retirement.
They tried to destroy Schaefer, and he hasn't gone half as far as you have. But last time he was on, he just went ahead and blurted it out. He goes, Yeah, this guy and that guy, and most of them actually are working for the government, these Al-Qaeda people. And then he kind of, took a deep breath because he realizes what he and his family are facing. And he was the guy who could have killed bin Laden, but was told, don't. I mean, this is such powerful information that, but I've noticed, Sibel, you've pulled back a little bit because you did come out 2 years ago and say that, yeah, bin Laden was under CIA command.
And guess what? Again, this went completely underreported. And you know how I mentioned about my naive stage? This was not only with government and Congress and the courts. I did what many whistleblowers do. There's this whole non-profit industrial complex. They call themselves whistleblower organizations. You think they are there to help you. You go get to know what's going on with these people. You say, wait a second. For example, why would Rockefeller, Soros, and Carnegie's give each organization $4 million a year? Why? Why do they care for whistleblowers? Are you kidding me? Do they have such great heart? So they are funding them because that becomes another layer. This is the so-called non-governmental, even though they are in some ways governmental. They're under the same shadow government, to go and actually dissuade whistleblowers from putting their story forward. They actually try to manage and censure whistleblowers, and they are part of this whole game, this non-profit industrial complex. Go look at the fundings. Why in the world Rockefeller wants to protect whistleblower? Ask yourself. The critical thinking that people need to engage in. And the same thing with this book. I put all the stuff, including the non-profit industrial complex. It is from the beginning to the end. Book part 1. Book part 2, Alex, that book, hopefully, if this is successful, that book will come out. It is going to be a fiction. Because with fiction, I'm not obligated to submit it to the FBI. And I'm going to tell people, here's my fiction. You go read and draw your own conclusion. Because what you've been hearing from the government is fiction. Therefore, if you put out a fiction that contradicts government's fiction, then what would you call that? And that's why I wrote this part 1. This gives the context from the beginning to the end as a whistleblower, as what's happening to our nation. We have become a police state. A lot of people, they say, oh, we are descending towards police states. We are moving towards... I keep asking them, why do you say we are moving? As if we haven't gotten there yet.
No. The media puts that in their mind. Oh, we're moving towards one with re-education camps and NDAA and street lamps that listen to you and watch you and citizen spies and government.
That's why my website's name is Boiling Frogs. They are raising the temperature 1 degree at a time, and people have gotten used to it. They go like cattle. We go through those security lines. We spread our legs. We just open it up and we say, give it to us. That's what we have become as a nation. We have been losing our dignity, our liberties, and we have become nothing. And unless we stand up and say, no, they're doing it with our tax money, and we're afraid of people that we actually sustain. That's ludicrous, Alex. It's ludicrous. And they think, oh, police state is going to be this really separate state that if we enter that stage at a state, everybody's going to know we are police state. People, they think I'm being dramatic saying police state. Then your First Amendment is taken away, which has been. Look at all these whistleblowers who are going to jail.
Sibel, look at how they're announcing they're going to shut down freedom on the web, how they're going to, again, have streetlights watching and listening to you, drones. They've got the repair people watching you.
There were websites and there were groups that were kind of cheering for me. After Obama got elected, I have become now their enemies. They have been slandering my name, saying, why don't you just limit it to George W. Bush and leave Obama out of it? As whistleblower, as a director of National Security Whistleblowers Coalition, I've been saying, Bush was bad, this guy is terrible. Even with that horrible George W. Bush, we didn't have a single whistleblower prosecuted. Just take a look at what this man has been doing. We have had 7 government whistleblowers are being prosecuted.
For exposing government crime, which is the height of corruption. And again, Bush didn't persecute whistleblowers, not because he was a nice guy. He knew he couldn't get away with it.
Exactly.
But in comes Obama, and I've seen him on the news go, good, you expose corruption? Democrats are like, send him to jail, as if Obama is the government, and as if, because they support him, now they're part of the winning team.
You got it, Alex. And guess what else they did? award. And the meeting, the award was classified. They made sure it was secret. The ceremony, they gave this.
That's right. That's right. The award ceremony for transparency was secret as a sick joke. He has the most secret. He said he wouldn't have signing statements, signs the most. Said he would give you 5 days for people to read the bills, accelerates it secretly through. Says he isn't for NDAA. Turns out he demanded it.
Right.
Says he won't sign it so people don't have opposition to it, then does sign it. I mean, total deception, showing there are no two parties at the top. We have been hijacked by Goldman Sachs.
We have been. We have been. And this two-party system, all the stuff they're putting there, they get two of their own candidates because there is no Democrats or Republican with these criminals and the mobs. It's the same side of the coin. One is called D, the other one is R, and they say, we give you two choices. Those are our options, and you choose between the two choices we present you. And we're going to call that, we're going to coin that a democracy.
Let's expand on that. Talk about the sex trafficking, weapon trafficking, money laundering that Al-Qaeda's used to do. Because it's in the news that NATO is training a giant Al-Qaeda force at the old Kosovo training bases to jihadi invade, just like Libya, into Syria. And they've said the Christians and Jews are dead. But again, you're not a patriot if you don't want the Christians and Jews to all be killed now.
I'm not familiar with sex trafficking aspects of it, but as far as heroin goes, absolutely. And Turkey has been our #1 partner to get a lot of this done because it's through Turkey that it gets to be distributed to, go to UK. And you're not going to believe this. Do you know where is the top distribution center after Turkey when it goes to the rest of Europe? Belgium. And you ask yourself, why Belgium?
Oh, that's because they've always been the gun dealers and in Africa and everywhere else.
That's where our NATO is.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And then you go, anybody who has tried to expose this has been suffocated one way or another, either literally suffocated or they have been just marginalized, put aside, because they cannot have a career.
And again, you're seeing all the NSA communiques on this. Yeah, the point is that they don't hide it now, Sibel. I mean, have you seen Fox, CNN, all the channels go, yeah, the troops help grow the opium, and we load it on aircraft and fly it out. It's patriotic. You're not for Al-Qaeda, are you? We fight Al-Qaeda by shipping it out. And they literally say, we fight Al-Qaeda.
Well, you got to ask me, as a nation, have we become that dumb? I'm sorry to use that word, saying as a nation we are becoming dumb and desensitized, that they can actually spread it in front of us, put it there, and we don't react any longer. As I said, if we can go every day, millions of us, and get fundals and stop reacting, they can get away. They're saying now we're going to hide it in our body cavities. I told my husband, I said, I can't do
No. They're going to grab you with cops, and when your kids cry, that's going to be bad, and they're going to billy club you. Now they have the police with them, and take your kids in there. I mean, and look, then you say don't fly. They're now on the highways and bus stations. Yeah, I mean, it is so incredible. It is incredible. It's actually happening. I mean, we are jumping in the fire of Hades here very, very, very quick. Sibel Edmonds is our guest. She'll be back in an in-depth interview with graphics and documents tomorrow on the Nightly News. We'll give you her websites when we come back from break. ClassifiedWoman.com is one of them. Give us the Boiling Frogs website. Just give it to us right now.
It's BoilingFrogsPost.com.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is so disgusting. I'm stuck in TSA prison, and time keeps dragging on. By the way, during the break, I was looking at articles. I see these all the time around the country. These new checkpoints they're setting up, they do a lot of them in Tennessee because they see that as an enemy population that may revolt. At these new TSA checkpoints, they have the local police rob your wallet. And as little as $500 is seen as illegal. There's no law, but they say, no judge, no jury. You can't prove. One case in Texas with the state police years ago, the woman had been at the bank. It was like $4,000. She even had the receipt that it was. They said, it's gone, lady. And if you argue, they go ahead and just take your car and impound it, too, and say, well, this must be drugs. In fact, show folks that article. We're going to be posting it on Infowars.com. That's News Channel 5. Man loses $22,000 in new policing for profit case. And it just goes through. The police pull you over. But that's a case of $22,000. And they say they're keeping it. If somebody told me this could happen to them, I absolutely would not believe it could happen in America. Buddy, you're not in America. You're in Bankistan now, okay? And the police defend it. They just say, look, doesn't matter if you got receipts. Doesn't matter if you are buying a bunch of trees for cash like a guy in Texas. Doesn't matter. Just, we're taking it. Asset forfeiture, seizure. Shut up! Excuse me. Okay, and they're going to ship narcotics in, too. That's just the way it is. Seabell Edmonds, we got about 3 or 4 minutes left. I hope folks will get your book. You're risking your life over this. I've even seen them prosecute journalists that talk to whistleblowers, so maybe I'll get in trouble by the narcotics trafficking, murdering government that's using our money against us.
We may be laughing right now, but I won't be surprised because how things have been escalating nonstop. And by getting this book, by reading it, by letting other people know, people will be standing up for the freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. And also, it is raising awareness because so many people, and I tested this, I gave it to people who were not activists. They really, they are the ones who tune into the mainstream media and watch Dancing Under the Stars or whatever is that show. I don't even have TV in my house. And they read, I had no idea how corrupt and awful. I am just shocked because to me it just reads like fiction.
Ma'am, all over the country now, the police pull you over, and in some cases take as little as $500. And I mean from old ladies. They're not even taking it from like gangbangers. It's bad enough. I mean, this country is burning down right now.
So yes, please, for the listeners, get this book, read it, and become active. Put the word out and say, as long as we take it, they are going to escalate it. There's only one solution, and that is for us to stand up for our own rights. And I tell whistleblowers, don't go to Congress anymore. There is one way, and that is the real revolution, to bring about revolution. Don't write petitions to Congress. I was dumb enough to do that and waste time for years, even when you and I talked last time, Alex, 4 or 5 years ago. I believe that if I got 100,000 people petitioning the Congress, something was going to happen. Today, I tell them, don't waste your time.
You got a few good people up there, but the rest of them are involved in the drug trafficking. They're criminals. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, because they are, and that's one of the things the book gets into. Of the dozens of congressional people exposed in this criminal ring, they're on the pocket of foreign lobby and the heroin dealers, especially the ones in Chicago. Well, out of those people, 7 of them are still in there. So when people, they read this, they're like, this is what we are dealing with. And this only dealt with Turkey. Imagine with all the other ones, how many more criminals are in there in Congress. They are not answerable to you, the person, the citizen. They are answerable to their bosses. Those millions of dollars given to them by various interests, military-industrial complex, oil, you have the banking industry.
And here's the deal.
Yes.
The military-industrial complex, it doesn't just want to kill a bunch of foreigners now, which is bad enough. They want to destroy America and literally destroy the free market and take over, and we've got to stop them. Unbelievable. Seabell Edmonds, we'll talk to you again tomorrow night on the Nightly News.
Thank you very, very much, Alex.
Thank you. PrisonPlanet.tv.